Hey y'all, you're watching Best Life Now with Unique, and today we have another exciting live numerology reading. So huge thank you to my girl Leigh for volunteering for this one. And if you're interested in a free reading of your own, please be sure to comment free reading down below and I'll be reaching out to you. Thank you so much, and let's get right to it. Hey, everybody give it up for Leigh! Yay! How's it going, Leigh?
Hi. Good. So happy to be here. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you. Thanks for being my guest today. Are you excited to have your numerology chart read?
I am. I've never done anything like this. I don't know much about it, so I'm very excited.
Yay. I'm excited to have a newbie. For the sake of the timing on this video, I chose not to do all of your calculations live because I want to do all those calculations ahead of time just for the sake of timing, because it does take up the bulk of my time on this video. But if you want to learn more about how to calculate your 5 core numerology numbers in your chart, please check out this video right here. I'm going to have the link here above. And again, that is for the 5 core numbers, which are your life path number, your expression number, heart's desire, personality, and birthday number. And if you want to learn more about how to calculate the pinnacles and the challenges in your lifetime, then I'll have a video for that linked right up here. And again, that's your pinnacles, and it's kind of like the seasons of your life, which all of us have 4 seasons in our life that all come with a corresponding challenge that we need to overcome at that point in our lives. So again, that video is up here. Be sure to check that out. Just to preface this, I want to be sure that you know, and those of you watching know, that numerology readings are not like psychic readings. I'm not here to tell you your future verbatim, and I think it's also important that people remember nobody can tell you verbatim what will happen in your future, because your destiny does lie in your own hands. You manifest, you have free will to create whatever it is you want to create in your life, and people can give you a general idea, and that's wonderful and it's beautiful, and definitely take that knowledge and use it to your advantage, but don't let people tell you or try to manipulate you by telling you that they can tell you exactly what's going to happen to you. I want to remind you that your numerology chart, what it is basically a blueprint to your life. So a numerology reading is going to unveil the numbers that you were naturally born with, and everything in the universe is made up of numbers, including us. Every person has unique numbers in their chart and that make up who they are, and it takes all different kinds to make this beautiful world go round. So it's important to remember that each of us has different numbers, and that each number that we have has pros and cons, or positive attributes and negative attributes. And one person, like I mentioned earlier, one person might be experiencing really high highs, and they seem to get away with all of the positive attributes, while another person has experienced really low lows and seem to be living through all of the negative attributes of a number. But it's important to remember that no matter who you are, we all go through life differently. We all have our custom, tailor-made sort of life path that we're supposed to walk out and live out, and we mature and we grow and we gain wisdom through life experiences at different paces. So what's for you may not be for another, and vice versa. And another may have the exact same number as you, but experiencing it differently than you. And everybody across the board is different. So you may have a bunch of people of the same number, and they're all living out different aspects of that number at different times. So just keep that in mind when I read this chart out to you and all of your numbers that you may come across a number that you're like, oh, that sounds great and it sounds like something I really want, but it doesn't sound like something I have right now. And that's okay because you will get there. So, I'll be sending this numerology chart, all your calculations, I'll be sending it to you so you can always refer back to it if you ever need to in the future. And I just sent it to you, like a rough draft to you in a text message, so that way you can, as I'm reading these numbers to you, you can follow along with it and you're not so worried about taking notes. But you can, however, take notes, or if a question comes up that you want to remember, you can jot those down too if you'd like. So just for the record, your full name is Leigh, and your birthday is April 15th, 1985. And so I did all my calculations based off of the information you gave me. And your life path number, we're going to start with the 5 core numbers. And your life path number is the most prominent force that you will feel throughout your lifetime. And yours is a 6. And your expression number is a 6. Your heart's desire number is a 3. Your personality number is also a 3. And your birthday number is also a 6. So you have predominantly 6s in your core numbers. And then for your pinnacles and your challenges, your first pinnacle is a 1. Your first challenge is a 2. And you would have felt this from the ages of birth up until the age of 30. Your second pinnacle is an 11. Your second challenge is a 2. And you'll be feeling this from the ages of 31 to 39. Your third pinnacle is a 3. And your third challenge is a 1. And you'll be feeling this from the ages of 40 to 48. And your fourth pinnacle is a 9, and your fourth challenge is also a 1, and you'll be feeling this from the age of 49 onward. So those are your numbers, and now I'll go into describing a little bit more what these numbers mean. I'm going to focus on the 6 because that is your life path. So just like in astrology, when people ask you what's your sign, in numerology, when people ask you what's your number, they're referring to this number, your life path number. So you're a 6 and you have predominant 6s in your chart. Yeah, so I'll be explaining the pros and the cons of the 6. So the pros of the 6. So the 6 is definitely very motherly and nurturing, kind of known as the nurturer. And even when you draw a 6, I'm going to try to draw it for the TV screen because when people watch this on YouTube, it's going to be backwards. So I think it's this way. So when you draw the 6, even the way you draw it, it starts off with a point and then it goes down into like a big oval down here. So it kind of depicts the train of thought of a number 6, which is self first and then the world or everybody else around me. And this is such a beautiful number, and even the way it's depicted, it depicts motherly or nurturing, because if you can picture a woman and kind of the top of her head being the point and then a woman cradling a baby, if you follow that lineage, it's like it literally depicts a mother cradling a baby. So hence the nurturing motherly aspect of you, of the 6. And the thing that I think is beautiful about the putting one's self first and then caring about the world around you, I think that's so important because in contrast to maybe a 9, right? When you draw a 9, it's complete opposite, right? The world and everybody is up here and they put themselves last. That can be detrimental because it's really important to put yourself first and take care of yourself and make sure that you have gotten your morning coffee, done your meditation. Do whatever you need to do to fill yourself up to the fullest so that you can share that glory with everybody around you. And even when you fly, the flight attendant gets up there in front of everybody and does the safety procedures and protocol. And what do they say if you're in a situation where the air mask deploys? They always say to put your mask on first and then help those around you. And even in the Bible, it says, let your cup filleth up and runneth over. And so your cup, not anybody else's. So it's really important, in my opinion, to take care of yourself first so that you have the capability to give to others. And so that's one of the most beautiful things about this number 6 is that you guys, 6s, know how to do this so well and effortlessly. And you guys are very family oriented. And so you just want family and you want to be around family. So 6s are definitely the kind of people that I'm like, I could see that person getting married, having kids. Like, I can definitely see them having kids and being a mother. You're ready to always step into that role. And so for a lot of 6s, it may happen at a very young age because you're just born with this innate ability to nurture, and it's like you crave that. And so that's why it can happen very early on for a lot of 6s, because you're born to be a mother, and unlike me, but you're born to take care of others, and you're such a great caretaker. And so for number 6s, oftentimes they do find themselves in fields of work that pertain to caretaking or pertain to service or help to others. So whether it's nursing or yourself a massage therapist, but service and help to others around them. And another thing about 6s pertaining to work is that they may find it difficult to work in sort of a corporate 9-to-5 kind of working, being micromanaged by a boss, watching over them and telling them what to do bit by bit. That may not be the best scenario for a 6. A 6 has this sense of leadership and taking control, and they're really good at that. If you let them do their own thing, they don't need to be micromanaged. So yeah, it would be a dream for a boss to hire a 6 because they don't need to be micromanaged, but also a 6 in their own minds are thinking like, well, I'm intelligent enough and self-motivated enough to start my own business. Like, I can give you some competition, which they absolutely can. So 6s definitely tend to be more entrepreneurial or just put themselves in a situation where they control their own schedule and they don't need to be micromanaged, or where 6s thrive and shine, and we could all take a lesson from 6 on how to do that. And 6s are also very fair-minded and seekers of justice. And well, when we get into the cons, I'll discuss a little bit more where there's a fine line where they need to be careful of the seeking justice thing, because sometimes it could come across as very like tick for tat. So, but if they developed the positive side of that attribute, they've worked on it and they've had enough experiences in life, then they know how to handle things fairly, and they try to, as well as they can, make life fair. I know people often say, like, well, life isn't fair, but I always come back, well, it is if I can make it. So 6s are really good at fairness, and especially if they're motherly and nurturing, they have that natural innate ability to, if they have more than one kid, right? Well, you got to be fair. So they're always constantly in the struggle of like, I'm a mother, I'm nurturing, and with my children I have to be fair. With the love that I give them, I have to be fair. And from the father, I have to make sure that he's giving fair love to all of the children. So everything and how people treat you and your children, if you can make it fair, you do. And so seeker of justice and seeker of all things fair is the number 6. And this is a cool one. Cultivator of beauty. of all things beautiful. So not only are you yourself beautiful, but you also cultivate beautiful things around you. So whether it's like your house and how you decorate it, which I can see looks very beautiful, how you decorate it, it could be
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome. It could be how you decorate yourself. Maybe it's your accessories, your fashion, your hair and makeup. It could be gardening, how you take an outside space and make it look beautiful. It could be whatever, fill in the blank. Cars, maybe renovating furniture or cars, but you take something old and you make it beautiful again. It could be even artistry. So that's a huge thing, is the artistry. So composing beautiful music or anything artistic, even like culinary arts, performing arts, cocktails. I mean, shoot, like you could be in a bartending competition and you're going to make the most beautiful and tasty concoction, better than the next guy. Or if you're baking a cake, like, damn well Leigh's cake is going to outshine everybody else's. And I know from firsthand experience, even just like coming over and you're like, would you like some hors d'oeuvres? Like, and just, I'm like, wow, it's like just cheese and crackers, but this girl took it to the next level. And so you have that innately of like cultivating beauty in the world around you. No matter what your surroundings are, you're able to take things and make them beautiful. So that's another pro. Sixes are also known for being very responsible and very organized, maybe even like perfectionist, and just everything's done in an orderly fashion, and at times can be a little idealistic. So I don't know, that can be good and bad, right? So that is a perfect transition into what the cons of the six are, because idealistic could be both. Could be both. So what the sixes struggle with sometimes is having a little bit too much of that idealistic view of like everything has to be, I have to get married and have 2 kids and have the White House or the white picket fence in the house, right? Like a lot of us have that view. I would say this whole generation, our generation kind of, and the generation before, we've had that view for a very long time in society. I feel like it's just now starting to change, but just growing up with that idealistic view in your mind, you kind of feel pressured to go ahead and do those things and all in a very orderly fashion. And since you do like perfection, you are a perfectionist, sixes tend to sometimes be a little bit critical of not only themselves, but others. And so other people may perceive a six as being a bit judgmental, or sometimes other people are like, damn, I just can't live up to your expectations. I just can't do it. And I feel like we all struggle with that at times, like expectations and what should they be or what should they not be, or where's a happy median. I mean, we all have expectations, right? And who is anyone to say that our expectations are wrong or right? Like they're our own expectations for ourselves, right? And so it's good to sometimes reflect and just ask yourself, like, well, what are my expectations, and are they too high, and is it okay if not everybody meets them? That's some self-reflection there that can be done. And then also, sometimes if you're not happy, everybody will feel it. People may have a tendency, or you might have a tendency, if you're not happy and you're upset with the situation, your energy, you can't help it, but it's being emitted, right? And so people will start to feel that energy of like, oh, well, she's not happy. And so they may be trying to have like a party around you in the room, but they're all going to feel like, well, if that six ain't happy, then I can't be happy. So it's important to be aware of kind of how we're feeling and what kind of energy we're emitting to those around us. But it's important to not be so critical and hard on yourself, because learning to take care of yourself first and appreciating yourself and all of the pros and the cons that you come with innately can help you to not be as critical on others also, and to just realize, I guess, over time, right? As I said, we all develop at different paces and we're all on different walks of life, but to have some reflective moments and realize, well, I'm not perfect, and neither is anybody else, and it's okay. It's okay if I'm not perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect the way I am, and that person is perfectly imperfect the way they are, and the pros that I have, they may not have, and vice versa, and the cons that I have, they may not have, but they're different. And is that bad? Just because they're different, does that make them imperfect? No, it makes them perfectly imperfect, and the differences that we have, we can learn and feed off of one another and fill in those gaps as we move along. So it's all about just taking the moment to soak that in, so that we can work on building up the positive attributes that we all carry. So that is the 6. So you have that as your life path number and your expression number. So it's how you express yourself the best. And you also had that as your birthday number. So you have that as 3 of your numbers, and your birthday number is like your gift to the world, your hidden talent or your gift. And so you have the 6 as your gift, and then the way you express that is also through the 6. And then your personality and your heart's desire number is a 3. So I'm going to touch on the 3 and the pros and the cons of the 3. Your heart's desire is what you desire the most, but it also can refer to who you desire to surround yourself with, and also like relationship wise, who you wish to attract, or your heart's desire, right? Like when I think of heart's desire, I think of like, oh, my loved one, my like honey, my boo, whatever. Like, so this also indicates that. So I think this one you'll find pretty fascinating. And your personality number is a 3. And your personality is how the world sees you, but also how you want the world to see you. So it's kind of like the energy that you put out there, because you want people to perceive you in this manner, and they do. So pros and cons of the 3. The 3 is definitely known as the creative communicator. So 3 is all about creativity. So I was like, yes, like this is my girl to the core.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's all about creativity. So a 3 is an entertainer, a life of the party, fun loving, and just downright fun. Like no matter what you're doing or where you're going or who you're with, you're going to be having fun, and you're going to bring those positive vibes to everyone around you. So this is definitely you. A 3 is somebody who is very joyful and has a good sense of humor, and who's witty and intelligent and a great communicator. So not only are you super creative and artistic, so any kind of art form, any kind, you fill in the blank, any kind of art form, you find your niche and just go with it, because you're meant to do artistic and creative things. And then communication, again, any form of communication. This just really drives it home. The number 6 has a bit of that, but then the 3 really reiterates that. Like the 3 makes it a solid, like you are a creator and you're a communicator. And any form, so like writing, lyrics, anything that you do, speaking in public, radio, whatever form of communication that you desire to do, you will do it, and you'll be great at it, because you are destined to be. And you have a lot of friends, and you're very expressive and theatrical, and you're emotionally sensitive, highly intelligent, and you're meant to inspire those around you, which I know firsthand you do. So I feel like this really encompasses you.
Thank you.
It does. And then
it is kind of spot on.
Yeah, and then so of course with every number there's cons, so I'm just gonna read these out to you. But sorry, I'm getting feedback. Hold on. Maybe if I need to stand a little further. I don't know. Let me try this. Okay. So the cons of the 3 can be, since you are highly sensitive, you could be overly sensitive, so you might come across as, I don't know, somebody who, when somebody tells you something or criticizes you, that maybe you take it the wrong way. Maybe they meant to be constructive, but you might be, girl, I know I am. I've got 3s in my chart, and I know, like, I used to be very like, oh my God, like that person thinks this of me, or that person said I just did, but with time, right? With you grow and you learn, and now I'm like, water off a duck's back, like it's all good, or I appreciate the feedback, right? Like now it's so different, but definitely when I was a little girl, like I used to cry over like anything. So you might be super hypersensitive. So that is something that 3s have to just kind of reflect on. And like I mentioned earlier, you have all the pros and cons of every number, but sometimes you have to deal with the cons and just to get to the pros. So sometimes God or the universe kind of puts you in a circumstance or a situation where they force you to face the negative attributes of the number you were born with, because in order to get to the positive attributes of the number you were born with, you have to sometimes face head on the challenges, the negative side of that number. And a negative thing that you might have to deal with is you might struggle with expressing yourself in communication, which is ironic because you have the gift of expression and communication. But in order to get that gift, sometimes you have to struggle with it. So maybe in the past, maybe you dealt with like, I'm really shy, or like, no, I could never get in front of people and do this or that. Like I could not, no. But then, life, whatever, at your own pace, and then boom, you're like, well, yeah, now I got it. So all of these attributes that are cons or negatives, like, are they really? Because they're really kind of just thrusting you into the positive, right? If you just deal with it and recognize it, accept it, deal with it, and then grow from it. But another pitfall or negative could be self-doubt, because 3s tend to be overthinkers. And so you might overthink everything to the point of like obsessiveness or compulsion. So being aware of that can help you to not be so much of an overthinker and be able to just let things go a little easier. Also, a number 3, since they are very fun-loving and all about the socialization, the party, good vibes all the time, sometimes when it comes to a serious matter or even like a serious relationship, like somebody approaching you and being like, look, we have this serious thing, or somebody approaches you with, we need to talk. That's like, you don't do that to a 3. That's like, a 3 is going to shut down and be like, woo, like, hold up, I need to go for a drink with my girls. Like, a 3 is lighthearted and fun and positive. And so when it comes to serious matters of a serious nature, a 3 oftentimes finds themselves not wanting to deal with it. And so the partner or whoever you're turning down could perceive you as being somebody who doesn't want anything serious, or like, well, that person's just hard to talk to because they never want to talk about something, when I bring it up, they don't want to talk, or they run away. And it's not that you're a runner, it's just that you want to move on to the next positive thing. And so addressing more serious matters can be a difficult thing. And another pitfall can be with all these emotions, the highs and lows. It's important that you're aware of that, because when you have really low lows, you need to be aware that you could fall into depression. And so it's good to acknowledge this and be aware of that, because you want to definitely catch yourself if you're ever that low. And if you're ever in a moment where you're like, oh my God, like I think I'm having a moment of depression, to stop yourself and take a step back and try to look at it from the outside looking in, and really ask yourself in that moment, like, why do I feel this way? Why am I feeling sad right now? And then when you answer that question, then again ask yourself, well, then why that? And then when you answer that question, then ask yourself again, well, then why that? And if you keep going with that, like I've done this myself, it's incredible what answers you can get to by repetitively asking, well, then why that? And you can go so deep and unveil some things from childhood. Like I know I have, where I was like, well, shit, like I went way back. And once you discover it and you pull it out, you're like, oh, thank God, right? Like just get it out and be done with it, and then you're able to grow and move forward and not hold that little something that was in the pit of you. It's like a little seed, and if you just pluck them out, it's like a little ingrown hair. There we go. Pluck it out. Pluck it out and throw it away, because if you don't, it will fester, right? It grows into a big ass lump and it looks all nasty, and yes, so that is the perfect analogy there. But those are your...
Yes, it is. Okay.
4 pinnacles, like 4 seasons. And we all have the 4 seasons in our life. And along with each season comes a challenge that you need to face, overcome. So your first pinnacle is, and I'm just briefly going to brush over, because since you have 4 pinnacles and 4 challenges, you have the potential to have 8 different numbers. And I'm not going to sit here for time's sake and go through each individual number and all of the individual pros and cons of each number, because that would be times 8. So it would take hours. And for the sake of the video, I'm not going to go through them all in detail. But if you would like more information on all of the root numbers 1 through 9, be sure to check out my playlist. I'll have that linked up right here, and you can get more in-depth information on all of the positive and negative attributes of each number 1 through 9. And also, I have a video you can check out for all of the master numbers, which are 11, 22, and 33. You can check out that video right here. So if you do have a master number in your numerology chart, this will give you a better idea of what to expect. All the pros and cons of 11, 22, and 33. Check out that video up there. And so, Leigh, your first pinnacle is a 1, and your first challenge is a 2. So, and you experienced this from birth up until age 30. So your pinnacle, your blessing was independence. So leadership, independence, and kind of spearheading and carving your own path. According to the numbers, it was a time for you to really gain some independence. And I'm not sure everything about your past and what you went through, but it was a time for you to take the bull by the horns, take the reins into your own hands, take control of your own life, carve out that path for yourself. Even if it was a path that nobody had been down before, you had to carve the way for yourself, and it was your time to be a spearhead and a leader for yourself. And the challenge you had was the 2, which is all about working together, cohesiveness, working as a team player behind the scenes, and a very loving and intuitive number. So maybe you struggled with empathy, or maybe you struggled with reading people or sympathizing or having empathy with people. Maybe you struggled with working together in some kind of a partnership or some kind of team or something. Maybe there was a challenge that you faced there. And in your pinnacle number 2, you have an 11, and your challenge is a 1. And this is happening currently through the ages of 31 to 39. And so Pinnacle 2, this is awesome. You have a master number. master number 11. So this is the healer, is the master number 11. It is like the number 2, but amplified. So isn't that crazy? What was your challenge before, you flipped it, reversed it.
Flip it and reverse it. It's your primitive is when yeah.
And now you're on top of it, and you have it by the dozens. You exude sympathy, empathy, passion, love for others. And as an 11, you are also developing, since you're in this phase right now, the 31, 39, you are developing your intuition, your psychic ability, maybe even like discernment, maybe this gift of like, you know things and you don't even know how you know. And people might ask you like, how do you know that? And you're like, I don't know, but I know. and you have this confidence with this knowing and empathy. So, and it's crazy because you're studying psychology, and that's right on point with what this season is bringing for you in your life, because what you're learning is you're going through a season of learning how to read people. Really just, you have a knowing. You can be in a room and know like, that person's depressed. I'm not quite sure why, but I can sense depression from them. And then that person's having the time of their life, and that person maybe is struggling with something. And like, you can sit there for a minute, and you're like, struggling with money. Like, and you don't know how the answer just like comes to you, but the answer does, and it does every time. And during the season, I think it would behoove you to trust that instinct, trust that gut, because it's not wrong. The only thing that's going to get in the way is you trusting that gut. Trust. Just have to learn to trust it, because you won't know how it got there, and you don't need to know, and you don't need to have to explain to anybody. You just need to learn to trust it, because it's right, and it's right every time. And this is a season where you're really learning to develop that, and even like those psychic abilities, like I said, like you're going to know things about people. And I'll have a video in the future on how to develop some of these psychic abilities to the point where you can just, okay, for example, I had an incident where I witnessed a car accident. I pulled over. The gentleman was all, and I was like, you're okay. And I touched him. I laid hands on him, and I was like, just breathe. You're okay. He was completely okay. It was just traumatic for him. And when I put my hands on him, I saw his 2 girls. Like, I could see 2 children, like a 4-year-old girl, 2 little girls. And I was like, you're okay. You can go home to your daughters. And he looked at me like, he was already traumatized. I probably like made it worse. I don't know. But he was like, how did you? And I was like, I was like, sir, I just want you to know that everything's going to be okay. Okay. He was like, thank you. In the moment. But again, it's just a moment where you'll get flashes, or it might come to you in a different way. But we have 5 physical senses, and we have 5 spiritual senses as well. So in this moment, this pinnacle, the season that you're in, you're developing those, and it is going to be magical for you. And you also are going to help those around you, because you're a healer. And so you'll be able to use this gift kind of like I did in that moment. Actually, I don't know if I helped them anymore. But like I said, I might have traumatized them more. But like, you'll have moments where people will be like, how did you know? And thank you, Leigh. Thank you, for sharing that with me. You're going to have insight in the moment when people need it the most. You're going to be able to say, hey, I feel you in the struggle that you're going through right now, and I know it's because of this, and what I see for you is a future of this, this, and this, and it's bright, and it's beautiful, and that person's going to be like, wow, like in tears, like, thank you, Leigh, I needed that, and it may just be a 2-minute encounter, but you will change people's lives. So congratulations on having this Pinnacle 11. And then your challenge is a number 1. So what you might struggle with, and the 1 is just like, it's actually, everything was reversed. That's crazy, because your Pinnacle was a 1, and so now it's reversed. And so now the challenge that you're feeling is a little bit of a lack of independence, maybe. Maybe being too dependent on somebody else, or just being aware to not be too dependent on another party, and a lack of spearheading and forging your own path. So just to be aware of that. And I don't know where it might come into play or how or what or who, but if you're aware of it, then you'll know like, hey, no, like I still want my independence, let me do these things. Or you'll forcefully say like, I'm going to set aside some me time, or I'm going to set this aside because I want to maintain that independence and I don't want to lose that. Because even though in your numbers it may be kind of the challenge for you, challenges are there to overcome them, right? Like challenges are there for us to beat them. And so you can very easily beat that, especially since you have before. It was in your first number. So your Pinnacle 3 is a 3, and your Challenge 3 is a 1, and you'll be experiencing this from the age of 40 to 48. And so, well, you know all about the number 3 now. So now you know the energy that you'll be feeling from 40 to 48. So all of that creativity and expression, and now your new ability by then, your psychic and your intuition ability. Oh my God, girl, you're adding up to be explosive when you're 40 to 48. It'll be like, oh, and the 11, I forgot to tell you, also comes with some fame and some notoriety. So 11s, whether you want to or not, they kind of get thrusted, the 11, 22, and 33, the master numbers, they get thrusted kind of into the public eye because you're helping people so much, whether you want to or not, whether you realize it or not. You could be going grocery shopping and you help 3 people and you didn't even notice it. But people will begin to know your name, know who you are, and whether it's like you being famous in a small town or you being famous on YouTube or whatever, but people will begin to know that you offer healing and come to you for that reason. And then when you hit your next pinnacle, 40 to 48, you'll become known for your creativity and your expression. And so I feel like something huge will happen for you musically. So whether it's this path you're going down, continue to go down it, because there's a lot of musical things going on for you right now. And I feel like they're just going to flourish more because according to these numbers, like you're just adding on like awesome layer upon awesome layer upon, it's developing into something that's just that cup is going to filleth and runneth over, right? And you're going to be able to share it with the world. So 3 is what you're expecting in 40 to 48. All of that creative expression, talent, artistry is all going to just be flowing out of you. And the challenge will still be a 1. So for the rest of your life, that challenge will be there. But like I said, just overcome it, nip it in the bud and be like, hey, nope, I need to take some time for myself. I need to go on a hike in nature by myself or whatever it may be, but just things that along the line you keep yourself in check. And remember, like, independence, because I don't want it to be my challenge. I want it to be my stepping stone, right? Like step on it and to get you to where you're going. And then your 4th pinnacle is a 9, and your 4th challenge is a number 1 from the ages of 49 and onward. And the 9, remember I said, was like the reverse of the 6. So at this point in your life, you'll be thinking so much more about the world first, and just be careful that you don't forget about yourself. You'll be thinking about the world first and then yourself last, because I think that at this point you've gained the knowledge of the 11, all of that healing and intuitive power. You've gained fame and notoriety. You've gained your creative and expressive outlet. And by the time you get to 9, you're wanting to share that knowledge more with those around you, with the world around you. So it's like taking all of this like powerhouse knowledge and sharing it with the world. And as I mentioned earlier, just be careful that you don't neglect yourself. There we go. So just make sure you put yourself first always. Wake up with your morning coffee, do your mantra, meditation, whatever it is you need to do that keeps you and keeps you positive and keeps that inner light so that you can share it with the world. But that is your numerology reading in a nutshell. Yeah. What'd you think?
Wow. Okay, so so far, like, everything is spot on. Like, what I can tell from, like the past and my like core numbers and stuff. I am very nurturing, and creative.
Yeah.
And the Pinnacle number 1, because it was 0 to 30, I'm 36. So I've experienced that, and that is spot on.
Wow.
And then the number 2, 30 to 39, I'm in the middle of that. And I mean, it is pretty spot on also. Like, I've been a massage therapist 16 years.
Wow.
So the healer part has always been there,
Yeah.
but studying psychology to go into another field beyond that, where I will have to get really creative, because I would like to come up with a new type of cognitive therapy. So the creative, and that kind of lines up with Pinnacle number 3 as far as age wise. Like, I don't know, it's just really fascinating.
Wow.
It just kind of like validates some things that I've felt, and intentions and expectations that I have. Just like, oh, yeah, I mean, I could see that. And I could see the challenges kind of being there. And the Pinnacle number 4 was interesting because the 9 was like, this is what you're going to do, but like have some boundaries and parameters. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's really cool.
Awesome. That's crazy.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for participating and for letting me share your numbers and for letting me record you. And thank you so much. And this is so awesome too. And now that you mention the 9, I was thinking also, because you said, finding a creative way to come up with a new cognitive therapy. And I think that is really cool, because I feel like that 9 is all about sharing with the world and with others. So I'm like, well, damn, what if it's like you winning some kind of award for this new research and newfound cognitive therapy that like helps others, because you are the nurturer, you are that giving caretaker. And so I was like, well, damn.
And that's my plan. So
Yeah.
that's really cool to like, and you didn't know that part of it.
No,
so
yeah.
That's really cool to hear you say that.
That is so awesome. And it's really not me, it's just the numbers, right? Like I just write down that's it. So it's not me putting any of my influence into it, it's just going to read what these numbers are to you, and that's what the numerology reading is. So it's really beautiful, because it's more of the kind of the universe speaking through me, and I'm just the vessel. But God is awesome, universe is awesome, because the universe has all these numbers and they're pretty accurate. So, and Leigh, I know you mentioned that you are a massage therapist, and I want to give you an opportunity to plug anything that you're working on, your massage therapy, anything you'd like to take a moment to talk about. Please feel free to do so at this moment.
Oh, thanks. So I have some exciting things happening with my massage practice. I am currently moving from one end of town in Durango, Colorado, to Main Street, and expanding my practice. So it's called the Lotus downtown Durango. So if you're in town, come get a massage.
Awesome. And I'll be providing a link for that below in the description below, so be sure you check that out if you're in Durango, Colorado. Beautiful little town, beautiful. I used to live there. If you haven't been, go. It is definitely a bucket lister kind of a place, and only a couple of hours drive from Telluride, so you might as well. 2 birds, 1 stone. Don't kill birds, but you catch my drift.
Yeah, we were just there Saturday. It was amazing.
So thank you again for participating.
Thank you.
Love ya. Bye, girl.
Anytime.
But I'm not going to hang up
And
yet.
that's a wrap.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you again to Leigh for volunteering for this. And I'll have the information on her spa in Durango, Colorado, the Lotus Downtown, linked down below. So be sure to check that out if you're ever in Durango. And if you're interested in volunteering for my next live numerology reading, be sure to comment free reading in the comment section down below. If you want more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you'll be notified the next time I put a video out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.